Hello, today I'm going to be reviewing the Thermaltake View 270 TG ARGB, which is available in a whole variety of different colours, and in the UK you can pre-order it for less than £70. But should this be your next case, let's take a closer look. Our tempered glass side panel can simply be pulled out from the top and lifted up and away. And the tempered glass front panel is removed in exactly the same way. To remove our other side panel, there's two captive thumb screws at the back we need to loosen, and then we can pull the panel backwards and lift away. On the back of this panel, we have a magnetically attached dust filter over the perforated area. Taking a look at our top I/O, we've got a power and reset button, a separate headphone and microphone jack, we've got two USB Type-A ports and a single Type-C port. On the top of the case, we've got a magnetically attached dust filter which can simply be pulled away. In terms of motherboard support, the case supports motherboards up to E/ATX in size, and you'll notice we don't have any additional cutouts for back connector motherboards. If you want to go with a CPU air cooler, the maximum height supported is 180mm. We've got a single 140mm PWM ARGB fan pre-installed at the back of the case. If you prefer at the back, you can mount a 120mm fan or radiator. At the top of the case, you can mount up to 3 120 or 2 140mm fans, or up to a 360mm radiator. While you can fit 140mm fans at the top of the case, 280mm radiators aren't supported. On the side of the case, you can fit up to 2 120mm fans, although radiators aren't supported here. On the bottom of the case, it's up to 3 120mm fans, and in the case accessory box you get 12 long radiator screws to secure the fans to the bottom of the case. You'll notice that we've got mesh panels down at the bottom on the side and front of the case, and this is where the fans mounted on the power supply shroud are going to get their air intake from. Taking a look at the rear of the case, you'll notice we've got 7 horizontal PCI expansion slot brackets, although unfortunately these are the breakaway type. In terms of graphics card support, the maximum length supported is up to 420mm, and you'll notice we've got a cutout in the bottom of the case to bring your graphics card power cables through. Moving into the rear compartment, and you can see we've got cutouts in sensible places, although unfortunately there's not a rubber grommet in sight. We've got plenty of cable tie-down points, and although there's no Velcro cable straps included, we've got plenty of cable ties in the case accessory bag, and cable routing space looks to be satisfactory. In terms of drive mounting, we've got a dedicated 2.5-inch drive mounting bracket behind the motherboard, and we've got a hard drive cage down at the bottom of the case. In the hard drive cage, you are going to be able to mount a 3.5-inch drive, while on the top of the hard drive cage it's either a 2.5-inch or 3.5-inch drive. The hard drive cage is movable and removable. You can move it closer to your power supply, or you can actually remove it from the case. The case is compatible with full-sized ATX power supplies up to a maximum length of 280mm with the hard drive cage installed, although if you remove the hard drive cage you get absolutely loads of room for your power supply. So what I want to do now is give you a closer look at the build I put together in the case. Take a look at our temperatures. Our Ryzen 7 7800X3D idled at 41 degrees and reached a maximum of 82 degrees during a 10-minute IDA64 stability test. The NVIDIA RTX 4070 idled at 30 degrees and reached a maximum of 71 degrees during the stability test. In terms of noise, the average noise levels were 30 decibels at idle and 49 decibels under load. So in terms of building in the case, there was really only one issue I ran into, and that was because we couldn't actually remove the top panel. Once I had installed the motherboard with the air cooler, plugging in our EPS cables to the top left of the motherboard was actually really difficult. What I would recommend doing, if you have a modular power supply, plug in your cables to the motherboard first before installing the motherboard into the case. And if you've got a non-modular power supply like I used in the build, I would actually recommend installing your air cooler once you've plugged in your EPS cables. So moving on to the things I liked about the case, and I think the first thing to say about this case, for a case costing less than £70, it is absolutely stunning, with the two tempered glass panels meeting at the front and side without the pillar. Other things I really like about the case is it comes with a good 140mm PWM ARGB fan installed at the back. I like the fact that the case cables are colour matched to the colour of the case, and our front panel connectors are all organised into a single cable. In general, the build quality of this case was really good, and with the tempered glass panels removed, the case was actually fairly rigid. So moving on to the things I didn't like about the case, and there's a number of these that I can forgive given this case's price, but there is one feature I absolutely hate, and that is the breakaway PCI expansion slot brackets. I think this just makes the case feel really cheap and I think manufacturers need to stop doing this. So I do think there was a couple of things missing from the case, and the first thing was pre-installed fans on the side of the case. I think really to have any chance of a good looking build, you are going to have to occupy those fan mounting slots, given that there's no cover to cover the slots on the side of the case. So I do really think Thermaltake should have included two 120mm reverse blade fans on the side of this case, and if that cost an extra £10 onto the price of the case, I think that's something the user would be happy enough to pay. The other thing that I thought was missing from this case was some rubber grommets, and I can understand that given this case's budget price, they weren't included on all the case mounting slots. I do think that large slot over to the right hand side of the motherboard did need rubber grommets on it to help hide the cables you'd managed at the back of the case. The final thing that I didn't like was that the pre-installed case fan at the rear of the case had a very short cables from it with cable extensions plugged into it. This meant that there was connectors in the main body of the case on full display, and they were actually too short to reach the rear of the case. So putting everything together, I think this case is good but not brilliant, and it wouldn't have taken very much for Thermaltake to have made this case brilliant. They would just need to have included two reverse blade fans on the side of the case, some rubber grommets, and some standard expansion slot brackets at the back which could be removed and reinstalled. And if they had to charge us an extra £10–15 for doing that, I think most of us would have been happy to pay that. But still, at the price of the case for less than £70, if you can live with those features, you are getting an absolutely stunning looking case with good build quality at an excellent price. So if you're happy with those compromises, then yes, I can definitely recommend the case to you. But it is worth having a look at some of the other cases on the market if those features are something that you're not going to be able to live with. So if you are thinking of doing a build in the case, I have done a full step-by-step build guide, and you'll find a link to that video in the description. If you have enjoyed this case review, please remember to give it a thumbs up, and if you're not currently subscribed to the channel, please hit the subscribe button as well. Thanks for watching.